Hey guys, today I'm tackling a question that, well, I've been getting for the past 5 years. What kind of camera do you use to capture video and photography? Oh man, haven't been 100% happy with my setup for our traveling lifestyle, so I've really been putting off answering this question. Before I dive into all this stuff, I just want to say it's not about the camera gear. If all you have is a cell phone or a point and shoot camera that's 10 years old, it's all about capturing something that's interesting, telling a unique story, and looking at different angles, and I don't know, just being creative. It's not about all of this junk. This is all secondary. It's not 100% necessary. This is what's necessary. Whew, it is bright out here. All right, that's much better. Before we left Dallas, I had a photography studio, and I did mostly portraits, product, with a few crazy events and some fashion sprinkled in. And this was my go-to camera, the Canon 5D. It's a great camera, but as our travel style has changed, as my filming style has changed, I've realized it's not the perfect camera for me anymore and the way that I like to film and photograph. The one that we love the best is recording me right now. So, hold on. Now, before I dive in too deep, I just want to say that I'm not going to go into like super depth on any of these devices or cameras that are out. I'm going to save that for the website. And if you're watching anywhere else besides our website, you might want to click over if you're interested in these cameras, because I will give a lot more of my opinions there. There's just not enough time to go like over every little detail here. Anyway, now back to this video. I'm going to organize it in a way that makes sense to me. I'm going to start with the camera that I go to the most, the camera that I grab pretty much every day, and I'm going to trickle down to the cameras that I don't use very often or I don't think are necessary for my kit. All right, should we dive in? My number one go-to camera right now is this little Sony a6000. It has a lot of features that are awesome, but the main thing is the compactness. It's tiny. It does just about everything my giant DSLR does at a fraction of the size, a fraction of the weight, and it doesn't look in your face. I'm not carrying a giant camera, so I feel like I can take it anywhere and just kind of blend in with the crowd. It does have this multifunction shoe, which has all these accessories. I originally got this camera to be a secondary, you know, a backup camera, something that I only took on hikes that didn't matter as much, but I've really grown to like this camera, and since it's my favorite now, I'm starting to invest in accessories. Let me show you. The first accessory I bought was this little microphone. Everything here has weird names, so I'm not going to give you the model numbers because I don't even know what they're called because they're so weird. But this turns my little camera into basically the same thing that I have with my giant 5D, capturing audio. But what I like the most is there's no on-off button. I don't have to remember to turn on the audio. I don't have to control the audio levels and accidentally leave it turned way too high or way too low. Everything is automatic. So when I put this microphone on, it's done. Now that said, I should have gotten a wind muff from the beginning. I did not, but this helps in windy situations like today cut down on the that you get from microphones. So I do recommend shotgun microphone with a wind muff as kind of your first major accessory if you're going to shoot video. The next thing I bought was this little same little thing. Oh, hold on here. There we go. Same thing, multifunction, and turns on. It connects via Bluetooth, and you can be recording, be far away from the camera. You can put that there. Well, you would never want to put that like that. I mean, you could, but like that, or hide it behind your clothes, whatever. Anyway, it sends a Bluetooth signal to the camera and records the audio. Then for situations where you're in a loud area or, you know, somewhere else outside, maybe it's windy again, you can do this and do a little wireless Lav Mic action, which is great for interviews and stuff like that. But anyway, you get the idea. Compact, affordable, surprisingly affordable. That's the crazy part. And then my most recent purchase is this lens. You can see it's quite a bit bigger. There goes my wind muff. Okay, stay. You can see it's quite a bit larger than the factory lens that comes with it, but it is an 18-105. It's a G series lens, which is better glass, a better optical stabilizer, much sharper. And in my opinion, it looks better. It's not necessary, but it definitely looks better. It captures better images, sharper, more colorful, all that stuff. And it's really surprisingly affordable as well, especially compared to my Canon gear. I can't believe it. A good filter, lots of batteries, and SD cards. One thing about this camera, you have to use a 64 gig SD card because of the video style, which I'll go into more depth on all of these things on the website and give you those details and the model numbers as well. I almost forgot. This setup right here is what I filmed, I would say 80% of our Alaska Bound series with. This exact microphone, no wind muff, and this little lens. You can watch several of our videos, you see exactly how this camera performs. All right, next camera. This is now my secondary camera, and it actually started off as a backup to my 5D. We got it for New Year's in New Orleans. We wanted to go into all these places and have this kind of casual sort of experience and capture it in a little camera, one that actually could fit in our pocket. Favorite thing for me, all the manual controls, the super sharp Zeiss lens, and the f1.8 aperture, which means we can shoot in really low light, photography and video. Nikki's favorite feature, automatic controls, very easy to use. Most importantly, the flip up screen. So she can grab a selfie stick, screw it on there, and she can see when she's talking to the camera, walking and talking to the camera, which we did a lot in that New Orleans video, that we're actually in the frame and that we can see ourselves and we're capturing what we want to capture. So it really is a unique little camera. It's kind of expensive, but the options really make it worth it. And there's multiple models. This one has the built-in little viewfinder action. It has the flip-up screen. There's some that have a multifunction shoe, so you can use the same sort of accessories I use in my A6000. Anyway, love this little camera. It's a great backup, and it fits in our pocket or Nikki's handbag. Now let's talk adventure cameras. I think these are best saved for the big adventures and not for an everyday camera. If you're just worried about dropping a camera in the sand or getting a camera wet in the river, then you'd be better served going with a point and shoot. Well, I think you'd be better served going with one of the point and shoots that are life-proof. There's lots of different brands out there, and they're great because they zoom and everything. These do not zoom. They are super wide angle, and they are great little tools to have, but it's the accessories that really make this camera awesome. So I have both the GoPro and the Sony ActionCam, and I like them both, but I find myself reaching for the Sony ActionCam more often, mainly because it's splash proof on its own without having to put it in the case. It also has a stabilizer built in, and it has Zeiss optics, which I find are really sharp. The ActionCam has plenty of accessories, but I've already invested in all these GoPro attachments. So this is the only accessory I need for the ActionCam. It actually allows me to put my Sony ActionCam on any of my GoPro accessories, like the suction cup mount, which the suction cup mount is probably the one I use the most. And every now and then I'll use the helmet mount. Overall, action cameras are amazing. They can be put everywhere, and it is the accessories that make them awesome. And my next camera is the 5D, which we've been filming with, so I'm going to swap out again. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I've been a Canon guy since day one, and the fact that this camera is now at the bottom of my list is, well, exciting, scary, sad, I don't know, a flood of emotions. It's still a solid camera. It captures great video, great photography, and it is built like a tank, which is great, but it's not the way that we're kind of leaning towards. Now we're going for more nimble, smaller, lightweight, so we can capture video and photography in all types of settings. And also this camera, when I hand it to Nikki, it's overwhelming. All the buttons, all the settings, all the manual controls. She doesn't like it at all. I haven't given up on it yet. I'm still using it for a few things. The way I use the 5D now is for this giant lens. This is my 70 to 200 2.8 for wildlife photography or shooting stuff that's way off in the distance, because I don't have a long lens for my Sony yet. And I have an ultra wide lens. Well, I consider it ultra wide. It's a 16 to 35 f2.8. I use this for capturing night sky because the wider the lens, the better. And to capture that night sky in time lapse, I have to have this little remote controller because there's no time lapse built into this camera. For audio, I almost always use the Rode mic here. And like I mentioned before, you have to plug it in, you have to turn it on, and you have to monitor the levels. When you're filming in a run and gun style like we often are, forgetting to turn it on or to plug it in is a royal pain in the butt. I've done it a lot. And lastly, I have these Lav Mics, which are, have been great over the years, but I feel like there's more and more radio frequency interference, so I find myself having to change the settings quite often when I'm using a lavalier mic with this setup. All this stuff still works great. Nothing wrong with it. All the lenses are solid, but they're big, they're heavy, and it's all a lot more technical, so I find myself reaching for it less and less. Alright, the last camera on my list I've actually owned for I think 6 or 7 months now, and you haven't seen a single video from it. It's my DJI Phantom quadcopter, and it's mainly because I've never flown a quad or a helicopter or any sort of little RC device before. It's a huge learning curve. Now, for me, this is more of just a toy because I'm playing with it, I'm learning how it works, and just really experimenting. There's a lot of rules and a lot of stuff going on right now about quadcopters, but I won't get into that. I do know that once I have a lot of practice under my belt, this will be an amazing tool. It will go from a toy to a tool like that and provide awesome aerial shots. Not only photography, but video too. And I'm excited for that day to come. Hopefully this year, but I doubt it. Last but certainly not least are all the extras. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about any of these because I really want this video to be about my cameras. But on the post on our website, I will go into detail about the gimbal, my tripod, the backpack, my computers, external hard drives, all that kind of stuff. So if you're curious about that stuff, go ahead and click over. You'll find a wealth of information there. I hope this video gave you a little insight into the gear that we use to capture video and photography. And whew, it is getting windy, so hopefully you can hear me. If you have any gear of your own, any accessories that you didn't see in our kit that you think would be awesome for us, please share in the comments below. Because one thing I've learned over the years is my kit is never complete, it's always growing. Until next time, I'll see you with bobby pins on the road. Let's clear this stuff up.